Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to an edition of your daily program Ramadan Nights, where we coming to you live from our studio in Riyadh. As we all know, Ramadan month is going by very fast. Actually, we are on are we in the 12 days, Rasha? Or?
We are in the 12th day.
Yeah, it's going very fast. In fact, this coming Wednesday will be the middle of the 15th of day of the month, which would make it half of the month gone. I will not actually go on and talk about the month of Ramadan because all of you are aware of what had been taking place in the month of Ramadan, whether from a ritual point of view or traditional customs or food. I would like to welcome at the beginning of the program the co-host of the program, Rasha Fuad. Rasha, how are you this morning actually?
This Ramadan night. I'd like to say good night to everybody watching us. We hope you're having an amazing night, the 12th night of Ramadan, as Khaled said. Time is flying by very quick, and we hope you're enjoying your suhoor. Maybe sometimes some people try to start having suhoor early, so maybe people are just snacking as they're talking to us. We've got a great show lined up for you. Very special guest joining us in this evening's program. And also we're going to be going to different parts of the world and see how people all over the world are spending Ramadan. We're going to go to Paris, I believe, and also to Egypt. That's a little bit later on. But joining us in the studio, we have a very special guest, Mr. George Unsold. He's director of rooms at a very famous and well-established hotel here in Riyadh. Good evening, Mr. Unsold, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome to Ramadan Nights and welcome to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. You were telling me and Khaled earlier that you've only been here for a couple of months.
Correct.
How are you finding Saudi Arabia? I mean, tell us about your experience so far.
Well, it is nothing as people try to portray it abroad. And I've come here with a very open mind. And I've kind of discarded anything that was in the press, etc. That's because for me it's the best experience, is when you come here and you create your own experience, your own memories. And obviously most of it has been, unfortunately, just work so far. So I can't really say. And obviously in my second month I started straight with Ramadan, which is a brand new experience for me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So Ramadan and a new country.
Yeah, but let me ask you, Mr. George, as of you've been, you just told me you may have a German origin, but you've been traveling around the globe. Tell us a little bit as of the cultural experience that you have gained being European, traveling to many countries throughout the world, for example, to Africa and to other countries.
Yeah, as I mentioned, Khalid, is that as of 3 years, my parents moved abroad, and no, we're not into diplomacy. My father was an engineer, and I grew up actually in Cameroon. Spent 15 years there, and basically entire childhood. After that, after my soccer career pretty much failed, I had actually, I'm using an American term, football actually.
Okay.
And after that failed, I sort of chose the second best thing.
So you were a goalie or midfielder?
I actually played every position.
Oh wow! So you must have been belonging to the Dutch school of soccer.
Pretty much, yes. That was my style, Barcelona type of play. That was the club I wanted to play for. Always been dreaming. And so when with 15, my career was over because of an injury. And then I decided that I will join the hospitality industry. And I went actually to work in France and Germany. Then I studied in Switzerland. And at the time already, I had my first opportunity, wanted to go to the Middle East because I wanted to work in Asia. Well, that was when I was a young fool still, with 18 years old. I joined the cruise ships as a sabbatical break, apparently. Turned out not to be like that, and spent 2 years cruising every confine of the world. Then joined Intercontinental at the time. And for them, changed nearly every 2 years. So I started in England, went to Germany, to Belgium, Atlanta, USA, then Puerto Rico, back to Belgium, then left that company, joined another company in Germany, the Adlon. And from there, we emigrated to the States, where I then worked in New York until I got this opportunity to join this hotel here in Riyadh. Tell
us the experience living in Cameroon for 15 years. It must be a quite interesting experience.
It is very interesting in the sense that I've been able to see the evolution of Cameroon over those 15 years. When I arrived, I had no background. I mean, I was 3 years old. for me, everything I was discovering was brand new.
What is the language there?
It's French and English.
But do they have local language?
Oh, many.
But you didn't know any, I mean, anything stick to your
I think
mind?
it's related to the tribes. I mean, every tribe.
Yes,
has
exactly. I've been to
Correct.
Senegal and I've known, I mean, it's similar experience.
Correct. Douala, which is the city I grew up, has, I think, about 25 different tribes. Means
Wow.
25 different languages, and then you add the dialects. And I think the entire country of Cameroon, if I'm not mistaken from my memories, is about 120 different languages. And we also have actually, in the north of the country, we also have a little bit of a Muslim population. So you have actually 3 languages in Cameroon, because you have the English part towards Nigeria, you have French, which is most of Cameroon, and then the northern part, which then speaks Arabic due to the...
So there's quite a lot of different languages. Did you actually manage to pick up some of the local languages? Or?
Well, when I was 3 years old to about when I started the French schooling system, I actually spoke 3 of the local slangs, and I refused to speak French.
Wow. Until now?
At the time. No. I went into the French system, so French is pretty much my mother tongue at this point, rather than German.
No.
Mostly because of the studies.
Now let me ask you, are there any Ramadan memories that have maybe stick to your mind while you're in Cameroon by some Muslim locals?
I think that in Cameroon, you know, the Muslim belief is just one of the many that exist.
Of course.
Therefore, you know, experiencing Ramadan is not the same thing, because most of the Muslims go through their ritual, and we just went on with our life. And most of the time, the Muslims were living in the north. Therefore, in Douala, we really didn't have so much. We were not confronted with that reality. My father had some contractors working for him that were actually from the north, Muslim, and we used to be invited to one party, which I usually then associated with Ramadan, is when they killed the mouton and they had that big feast. But I learned since I'm in Saudi Arabia that this is actually nothing to do with Ramadan.
Maybe Eid, maybe. I think you're thinking
I
of
believe
maybe
it's
the Eid
Eid,
festival,
yes.
when they sacrifice the
Correct.
meat. And I think you pretty much enjoyed the food, I guess.
That's it. That's it.
So you associated that with Ramadan. But you've been all over the place, but now you're in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia,
Correct.
and again, you're still in the hospitality field. I mean, just initially, I know it's only a short period of time, but what do you recognize about, I mean, the hospitality industry here? Because being a director of rooms, I mean, you're very much interacting with customers, and customer service is, I think, one of the vital aspects of your job. I mean, how do you find it here, particularly because it's different culture? I mean, we're here in the Kingdom, we have different customs, I mean, let's say from the States. How are you, let's say, finding that?
Well, I have to say that my biggest drawback at the moment is I don't speak Arabic. I think it sort of limits me. Now, my team's been very helpful in trying to get me to learn, you know, every day one word more. So hopefully within a few months I'll be able to have a conversation with the guests that I'm interacting with. But then again, we have a very multi-pot of customers coming to our hotel. So that's really what's very interesting about our industry, is you don't just deal with one cultural element, you deal with the variety of it. On the other hand, also, my staff doesn't all come from one country. I think that we have about 40 or 50 nationalities working. And if I just look at the front desk, even within the Muslim population, we have some Saudis, we have some Egyptians, some Syrians, some Jordanians. Then you have the entire contingent from Asia with the Indonesian. So it is very varied, and you need to adapt your I'd say your behavior to all those different cultural aspects, because the belief may be the same, but the cultural aspect that each one brings to it is very different from one another.
That could be interesting, though, couldn't it? I mean, to work with within a multicultural environment, I mean, I guess you learn different things from the different nationalities that you have, let's say, different styles or different techniques in delivering customer service, because I know just from previous experience that every nationality has a different form of customer service, and particularly when we're talking about, let's say, the hospitality industry, I mean, it's been believed or known that, let's say, certain cultures are good at service, or they're good at providing, let's say, fast, prompt service. I mean, is that true?
I think that's a misconceived. I have a different approach. I think that everybody has an innate ability to be hospitable. I think it's a matter of releasing that in people. However, from my experience traveling through the world, it is true that the experience you bring from home, the empathy that is imparted into you, is maybe something that is not as rich in certain areas or wherever your employees are coming from, makes obviously the initial transition to the luxury service a bit difficult, because a lot of what we do is based on empathy, on that feeling of imparting a memorable experience. And when you come from a part of the world where nothing is very memorable for you, it's very difficult to relate to this idea of being able to pass that message. And yes, it is very true that in certain areas of the world, people have a more natural disposition to smiling and being hospitable, and people usually refer to, you know, certain Asian countries as the Philippines or these areas. But I believe that even Germans can be very good at hospitality.
I mean, I'm sure everybody can adapt the skill, can pick it up, Khaled, I'm sure you'd agree. But as you said, I mean, there are some, let's say, some ideas that certain nationalities, like you said, from the Far East or Asia, are very hospitable or are very good at service or very service-friendly and customer-orientated?
Well, I think that they just have a natural disposition of being friendly. I mean, I remember traveling on cruise ships. We went to Fiji. And Fiji, from the historical part, at least from what you read, they had a very violent past. However, the people were very, very friendly. I mean, extremely friendly, inviting you into their homes as you were walking down the street, inviting you to drink their traditional sort of friendship drink. And then you travel like about 60 kilometers, next door you have Samoa. And Samoa very much colder on the first approach. And yet these two areas are very much reputed for being also very friendly in their service. But your first initial contact with the culture is tremendously different.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you about, I mean, traveling around the globe and changing the places, companies. Does this make you more willing maybe to change than most of the people?
I don't know anything else. Therefore, for me, it's easier, absolutely. I remember that when I met my wife, she had only done holidays in Europe. And I remember when we first met, I said, do you actually know what you're doing by getting involved with me? I don't stay in one place. And I like to say that my home is where my suitcase is. And yes, you start to get this disposition to traveling, which is more innate. And you don't, what I find for myself is I don't have any preconceived ideas to go wherever I've gone in my life because of the background that I have. I mean, growing up in Cameroon was an exciting experience, and it sort of opened up my mind. And because also in Cameroon, just like in Saudi Arabia, you have so many different nationalities within a very confined area. Not confined because, you know, Riyadh is pretty big, but you tend to move around in the same places, and you go to the same school. And even in the school, which was French, I mean, I had friends that were from Italy, from Holland. You know, we had some Americans. You had some locals as well. So it's always been multicultural for me, whatever I've done.
So going back to Germany does not make you feel home?
It is, because that's where my parents are from. I have an affinity to the country. However, it is true that my German is not the German that most people will speak there. And it's true that in my youth, whenever I went back home, I had, first of all, difficulty understanding my grandfather, who comes from an area of Bavaria. When he was talking to me, I had to ask my dad to translate for me. And even in the hometown where I was born, because I spoke Hochdeutsch, which is the official German, I didn't speak slang. So, and with my French background, obviously, I always had a little bit of a foreign accent into my German. And so I was always sort of considered a foreigner in my own country.
How about maybe developing some linguistic skills? I mean, here you are in Saudi for 2 months. Do you think that you'll be able to pick the language faster because of your previous linguistic experience?
I think that it helps, because being exposed to 2 languages from nearly my youngest age, obviously I did French, German. Very early my dad encouraged this development of languages and sent me to Britain to learn English, where, you know, I spent time in an English family in the summer and speaking not a single word of English, and going to school and living with an English family. Then I took Spanish, learned Dutch, Italian, And I think that you know, if I put my mind to it, which I usually do when I set my mind to it, I will learn Arabic as well.
Amazing.
And I have this immense support from my staff members. Every day they'll come and see me and challenge me to learn another word, which has been very interesting.
So after like a couple, 6 months or a year, maybe you'll be able to speak more Arabic. But Mr. Ansalt, you've been all over the place, and I just can't help but ask you, do you think this has helped you adapt more in your career in the hospitality industry? Because I mean, I personally believe that to work within the hotel industry, you need to have a certain personality, or you need to have a certain flair in your personality to be people friendly. I mean, is it a career that anybody can go into, or do you believe you have to have, let's say, certain aspects in your personality to be successful within the hospitality industry?
There are certain traits that you're looking for, certainly attitude, predisposition to serve, and that's not being serviable, but it is more the idea of being very hospitable. There needs something to be coming. I always, and many in the industry say, you know, you either have the passion for it or you'll get out. And you know, I have a passion for it because it allows me to live and involve in that multicultural environment, and to every day is a new experience. Nothing is scripted. The processes may be scripted, but the interactions never are.
Absolutely.
And no two customers are the same, and that's really the excitement.
I think it's the interesting side of it, that you get to meet so many different people from all over the world, different nationalities, different cultures. This must be exciting.
It is. It is. That's the fun of the job, really. It's the opportunity to serve so many different nationalities within a single day.
And do you find that, I mean, I'm sure Khalid would agree that certain, let's say, certain things are more important to people from different parts of the world, or, I mean, I think it comes from tradition and culture, that what might make somebody happy from the Middle East might not make somebody else happy, and so on. I mean, did you feel this, as you traveled around, did you experience this yourself when you stayed at a hotel, for example?
I personally don't tend to stay at hotels after work. I mean, I spend so much time in them doing work time that when I actually escape from them, I try to stay away from them as much as possible. I do tend to go and sample hotels wherever I travel. You can't take that away, to see what other operators are doing. But to come back to your question, no, I don't see that.
Okay, now let me ask you, Mr. George, as of the hotel industry has actually developed very rapidly. There's a huge competition throughout the world, but in Saudi Arabia, ironically, we do have shortage actually of rooms, especially 5-star hotels. There are many hotels actually that are coming up in many parts of the capital, Riyadh, for example. How would you see the future of hoteling in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia within the 5 years? Do you think we're going to maybe handle this shortage by building those hotels?
The pipeline is growing already. I think that you have at least 4 or 5 projects within the luxury, wherever our hotel is operating in, which will be coming into the market over the next year to 3 years. So yes, the question will be, will the market grow as fast, I mean, from a demand point of view, as the supply that is coming into the market? It is true that the 2 main luxury hotels in the market have enjoyed very, very good years because of this sparsity of rooms. We'll see how that continues into the next few years. But there are many plans that are coming. I believe there's 2 hotels opening, I think in 2011 already. And then there's a few more luxury operators that are building at the moment.
2011, you mean in November?
No,
okay.
Next year.
2011, okay.
So next year.
You get me going.
Well, maybe they'll open in November as well.
Okay.
I mean, we are adding, obviously, also a new wing. So we are sort of increasing by nearly 50% our capacity in the market as we're opening a south wing. So we're actively contributing to the growth of the inventory in the Riyadh market.
Right.
But there's many competitors coming in, many.
So because of the, I mean, since there are many competitors coming in and the industry is on the rise, what would you say from your professional point of view would make each hotel, let's say, individual from the other? I mean, what would make the guest, let's say, choose this hotel over the other? What kind of let's say, what kind of hold can a hotel have over another in terms of service, in terms of facilities? I mean,
I think it's a combination of elements. It's certainly location is always a prime. If you have the best location, you will draw the crowd.
definitely.
Then there is a brand message that is being sent, which attracts a certain customer automatically towards you. So if you have a strong brand and you come into the market, you will draw a certain crowd that has experienced your brand either by traveling internationally or by reading about the brand and saying, oh, I connect to this idea, and then get drawn into. But at the end of the day, what people want to is the experience, is being taken care of. And I think this is always going to be something that will set a hotel apart. You know, what I always like to say is we're an industry that is built on the interaction with other people. And that's what people are looking for in hotels. And I believe that's what makes the difference.
So the service.
Service component is always, for me, in my eyes, makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Product helps as well, obviously.
Of course, the quality, but you can never forget friendly staff and the extended help that they offer to you, and the extra smiles. It does really, really leave you with a certain experience, of course.
Correct.
Now, Mr. George, let me ask you, as the fact that many hotels try to cut off the cost for customers by sometimes offering good services, but did that compromise the quality of the service sometimes?
It will, ultimately, yes. If you start cutting in the wrong corners, the customer will feel it, absolutely. However, you know, when the economy corrects itself, like we've just seen in North America, where you very often don't have any other recourse than cutting where the cost is the highest. I mean, especially in the luxury industry, your highest cost is usually staffing. And therefore, this is the first one that you will cut. However, you know, this is what the customer experiences first, is when, you know, you don't have the doorman anymore.
Absolutely.
And you don't have that bellman that you knew for such a long time, that you have to wait. I think this is one of the most horrible things that you have to do, is having to wait to be served.
I think it does affect the overall experience of the customer.
Absolutely.
Because you can feel that the customer service is somewhat falling behind.
But it's you know, it's always a difficult decision, and it's, you know, quality and the price of quality is always what you play with when you have those difficult situations coming, when the economy starts correcting itself. And, you know, very often you do make the wrong decision, and we're very lucky actually with our owners. They believe very much in quality, and they invest in that quality and really support us in our initiatives to actually continuously improve on that quality. So we're very fortunate here. My previous experience was not as positive, where we really started cutting into the flesh of the operation, and you could feel it. Customers were feeling it, absolutely.
Okay, what is your impression of Saudi staff? I mean, you've talked about the cosmopolitan, actually, gathering of laborers at your hotel. What's your, I mean, honest impression of Saudi staff?
Well, it's very underrepresented for the moment still. I think this is certainly an area with which we're working with to get more of the Saudi youth interested in the industry. It is not an industry that has enjoyed the best reputation towards the youth as being let's say, valuable career to undertake. We have, I think, at this stage at the front office, for instance, just to talk about my department, we do have quite a few elements that are promising. I think that the industry at this stage needs someone to look up to, some youth that has grown inside the industry, that have reached the higher ranks, and that will certainly help making that transition. I always say that if you look at sports, in Germany, tennis was very big when Boris Becker was there. Absolutely. And then with the World Cup in 2006, you started seeing people being interested more in football again. And I think the industry in Saudi Arabia needs to have someone that has succeeded within the field of the hospitality to draw more of that youth, but also get the recognition from, I'd say, the home front, to say this is a worthy career for my son or my daughter. especially the sons, you know.
Absolutely. I think we'll see that definitely in the future because, as you mentioned, the hotel industry is on the rise and the industry is definitely growing. So I'm sure the demand for local employees will also grow, and then we can maybe get more training and we'll get more Saudis in the industry. Absolutely. Mr. George Ansel, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us on this evening's program of Ramadan Nights, and we hope you enjoy the remainder of the month of Ramadan. I'm sure you're enjoying the food.
Well, I'm enjoying the fasting as well. I join out of solidarity to my staff, which is fasting. So that's been a very interesting experience for myself. I've never done it before.
You fast literally?
Absolutely.
From sunset?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Doing the whole
Didn't
thing.
have a sip of water here and there?
No, no. I think I had one moment of weakness because I had a massive headache and I had to take a sip of water with the medicine.
Ah, I see.
But that was it.
But it was a new experience.
It is a different. I have to say it was not difficult to adapt to from an eating point of view. Drinking has been my biggest issue.
Absolutely, because it's
I feel
hot and
very thirsty at the end of the day.
So you can continue to do that, maybe?
Yes, yes.
Very
I'll
interesting.
do it for the
You do it for the rest
Absolutely.
of the month.
And it's always the celebration of breaking the fast is actually quite...
Was this your first time doing it?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Did you go sometimes outside in the sun, or you always
well, we
keep
do. Because of my job, I have to walk around the property a lot. And as we are starting a new wing to the hotel, which is actually on the opposite side of a lawn. So the fastest way is actually to cross across the lawn instead of doing the U. So very often we do actually go on the outside. But it's not too big of a distance. No, the sun is pretty brutal.
But it has many health benefits, actually, fasting.
Absolutely. It's a great way to detox. Let's say if you don't overdo it when it's time to eat.
That's the difficult part.
That's the difficult part.
How do you do it? Do you break fast actually with the people who are fasting? Actually?
Absolutely.
How did you find the moment? Because it's sort of special for us.
Absolutely.
Yes, I think that I just join in the, you know, it's a positive moment. I think that everybody, you know, when you approach that 5 p.m., you can start feeling the excitement that, you know, you're breaking the fast soon. And I think the staff has been very, very good.
So you're catching up very fast with the... Are you a caffeine drinker? I mean,
no.
do you drink coffee?
No, I'm lucky.
So you're absolutely lucky.
So I'm actually very good humored the whole day because I don't miss the coffee nor the cigarette.
Okay.
That's amazing, but I think it's very much...
I don't miss the cigarette, thank God.
No.
It depends on self-control as well, because even having the self-control to not overindulge, because after you overindulge, you feel quite bad. I mean,
absolutely.
Looking from personal experience. So I think
you feel the guilty trip, actually.
You feel really bad. I mean, in so many different ways, but it teaches you self-control as well. So I hope you enjoy continuing to fast the holy month of Ramadan.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's time for us now to go on a report. Actually, we're going to go, I believe, to Cairo and take a look and see how we're spending Ramadan in Cairo. Let's go to this report, and we'll be back here on Ramadan Nights.
Hello and welcome to Ramadan Nights here in Cairo, Egypt. Today I'll be taking you on a different tour and very pleasant indeed. We're going to be visiting a very popular site here in Cairo, particularly downtown Cairo, in Old Cairo. It's a very popular place, very overpopulated, and it's always very busy, particularly in Ramadan. It's called Al Hussein area here in Old Cairo. Let's take a quick tour together and see what's special about this place and experiencing it together during this holy month.
People come here after iftar in Ramadan to spend 1.5 hours and they eat, drink and chit-chat. What is special about Al Hussein is that it's a special traditional place in Cairo that has a popular mosque, lovely cafes and an amazing spiritual sensation.
المختلف هنا في رمضان ان بيبقى في عرب وفي ناس كتير جايه تتفسح.
What is different here in Al Hussein in Cairo during Ramadan is outnumbered people who come to visit, whether they are foreigners or Arabs who come to shop, chill and eat. Everyone likes to come and experience this oriental atmosphere.
Muslims celebrate that month of Ramadan in Egypt with joy and happiness. Colored decorations, lights and lanterns are hanged up in the streets, homes, restaurants, hotels, shops and even in the most popular, famous places in Cairo, particularly Al Hussein area. Especially the lanterns of different shapes and colors, some of which are lightened simply by candles while others are electrical, as even much noticed all over Cairo during the holy month of Ramadan. One of the busiest places in Cairo during Ramadan is Al Hussein area, which includes the Khan al-Khalili market. The Hussein Mosque is considered one of the most important mosques in Cairo and a beautiful Islamic monument. The mosque is named after Al-Hussein, the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib, the fourth Khalifa. The mosque is decorated fascinately with gold and Eastern decorations. The mosque is a unique piece of art and so many people visit Al-Hussein Mosque in Ramadan and in the holidays afterwards. At Al Hussein Square in front of Khan al-Khalili, most restaurants and popular cafes are present, offering special menus for iftar and even for suhoor. Areas around the major mosques such as Al Hussein and Sultan Hassan holds entertainment ranging from Sufi dancing to Quran recitals, with plenty of opportunities to share in the fellowship of the holy month. In addition to Al Azhar and Al Hussein mosques, the most popular sites for the Taraweeh prayers.
We thank God that this year Ramadan is different and there are a lot of people who come to visit us, especially because it's summertime and people are on holidays.
It is beautiful how people come from around the country here and even the world to visit this splendid place called Al Hussein.
Particularly in Al Hussein there is an old traditional Arab poem that speaks on this lovely area, calling it a spiritual place that attracts people from around the world. It has its own special essence, so imagine what Ramadan would be like here in Al Hussein.
Ramadan in its very nature is a month of mercy and good deeds. It has very spiritual aspects. Muslims try to be more self-restrained and get more control on their misbehaviors during this lovely holy month. Well, with this, we've come to the end of Ramadan Nights episode here in Cairo, particularly in Al Hussein area. Hope you had enjoyed our tour tonight, and back to our colleagues in our studios in Riyadh.
Welcome back. You've been watching your program Ramadan Night, and I just watched a report about Ramadan nights in the Arab Republic of Egypt by actually our reporter. I forgot her name, but she's been working with us for some times.
Absolutely. I forgot her name as well, Khaled, but I mean, I'm a bit hungry as we're approaching Sahur, so I can't remember her name. But she's a great report, and we saw how people were experiencing in Cairo. Have you ever been to Cairo during Ramadan?
I've never been to Cairo at all.
Really?
Unfortunately, I've never been to Cairo. I've been to Sharm el-Sheikh, but not to Cairo.
The tourist
I have
side.
actually a dream to go and visit the pyramids, to visit Cairo.
It's actually nice. I recommend it in the winter, and in Ramadan it is quite nice actually there.
Okay, well, I'll take your advice. When, I don't know, but hopefully very soon. But let's introduce our next guest in this show, Mr. Esam Alwagait. He is a lecturer at King Saud University in the College of Computer Science. Mr. Esam, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Okay, Mr. Esam, I'm assuming you've been abroad to maybe acquire your master's degree.
Yes, actually I've traveled quite a lot. I've been lived in the United States for 6 years, and
Lived in which capacity?
studying there. I was studying there. I did my master's there and part of my PhD, and I'm finishing my PhD right now in Spain. So.
Okay.
And you know, I did
You finishing your PhD where?
in Spain.
Really?
Yes.
So you speak Spanish?
Not really. No.
Not really.
I'm doing it in English.
In St. Louis University or what?
No, actually, I'm studying in Valencia. It's a
Valencia.
city in the east coast of Spain, and I'm lucky enough to be able to do it in English language. So, I do speak, you know, the occasional, you know, Spanish words. You know,
okay.
I could get by, but I couldn't hold a
This is
long
really
conversation.
interesting, but why Spain? I mean, why particularly Spain?
Well, it's kind of a long story, but I did part of my PhD in the States, and I couldn't finish it for some reason. So, I found a good university that actually I could pick up what I left in the States without having to redo part of the PhD. So that's what I'm doing in Spain.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
how? I mean, I'm assuming that you are traveling to and from Spain. How are you finding Spain?
It's lovely. I like it. I like it. As many of you know, that Spain has some Arabic heritage to it, from Al-Andalus. So actually,
Andalusia.
Andalusia, yeah. So actually, they still call it that in Andalusia.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of cities there, you can see a lot of
But they say Andalusia.
Andalusia, yeah. They got a little bit of a lisp when it comes to speaking, but they got a lot of Arabic influence there. You can see a lot of places. I got a chance to travel to many cities there, you know, and see a lot of places like Cordoba, you know. It's really nice.
Tell us a little bit as of your experience in the States during the month of Ramadan.
Yeah, so, well, I lived in the west coast of the States. And
Where, in Washington?
No, in Los Angeles, California. And Ramadan is quite hard when it's there because, you know, part of Ramadan is the atmosphere that you get when you live here. You know, everybody is living it. You know, the work schedule, the places open late at night. You don't do that. So here when Ramadan comes, everything is different. But over there, it's quite the same. You know, they don't, you know, notice the difference there. I lived there when I was single, so cooking and eating there was not a good experience, you know, because you miss a lot of traditional dishes of Ramadan.
And the other hand, you have to do everything yourself, which can be a little bit exhausting if you're studying.
Yeah. Also, you know, our breakfast was basically, you know, fast food. You know, Burger King, you know, McDonald's. So that was our breakfast, you know.
That was the downside to it.
Yeah, that's a, you know, downside.
It didn't encourage you to cook at all? I mean, being single there and living alone, I mean, I don't know, sometimes it can be a good experience. It can be, let's say, encouraging to step into the kitchen, or are you not that kind of guy?
Now, I could hardly boil an egg, so you know, I'm
Okay.
not a good cook. You know, I eat outside most all of the time, actually. No.
Did you ever attempt to, or you just...
I attempted once. I
Tell us
cooked
about your
beans.
experience. Tell us
It
about
was
the experience.
food. I tried to make the food, you know.
Is it the tinned one?
It's, you know, the beans.
Yeah, was it
And
pre-cooked, or did you make it from
no,
scratch?
you have to cook it. So it was in the can, you have to open it and everything.
They're pre-cooked.
It is,
It's
it?
pre-cooked.
So
Well,
even that I
so-
couldn't make it.
Sometimes you
You are
may.
terrible.
Yeah.
The ones in the can, you just, Khalid, you just
No,
put
but
them on the
sometimes you need to add chop some
Yeah,
onions and
onions,
stove.
tomato,
Okay,
tomato,
trying to spice
some
up a little bit.
spices,
yeah,
Okay.
some salt.
cumin. And
Yeah.
you
That
come
can't be
in.
that difficult.
I overcooked it. I put a lot of salt. I ended up taking one bite, throwing it away. So it wasn't a good experience.
Okay. Now, tell us a little bit as of the base here in Riyadh. How do you spend your Ramadan? I mean, during the day, I'm assuming. Well, you are on a vacation, actually.
Not really. I'm here on a scientific trip, so I still get
Oh,
to
I see.
work. And I do meet with my advisor. I have a co-advisor from here, from Kingside University. So I meet with him in the morning to discuss things. So I get up. I pretty much work in Ramadan, but I don't mind. You know, this is the you know, your standard working man Ramadan schedule, which is, you know, getting up in the morning a little bit later than usual at 10 in the morning. You know, doing your work, then come back home, hang out with my wife, you know, and kid. Sometimes I get a you know, power nap before breakfast, and then having the breakfast, which is something you know, you look forward all day.
Absolutely. Providing you're not stepping in the kitchen with her, so you should be
No,
looking
I
forward.
just look, you know, and make demands, but I don't do actually any cooking, other than, you know, bringing the goods, you know, to home. that's
The raw
as-
ingredients.
Yeah, the ingredients, you know, and I watch them being cooked, but I don't contribute anything other than eating in the kitchen. Ramadan also, you know, we do gather, you know, at my dad's house, me and my brothers, you know. We use this Ramadan occasion to, you know, get closer, you know, have breakfast with the father, you know, and the family. And then, you know, after Isha prayer and Tarawih prayer, I pretty much, sometimes I work, sometimes you hang out with your friends. I don't watch TV that often, but, you know, sometimes I hang out with the family when they're watching, and I get to watch what they are watching. And then, you know, you eat suhoor and then sleep and do the same thing again.
Amazing. But it's very interesting, Khalid, I'm sure you'd agree that, I mean, everybody tries to be their best during Ramadan. I mean, you try to refrain a bit from the worldly routine, and you try to get more into the spiritual side, praying more, maybe reading Quran more. I mean, how do you feel personally you change, or how do you feel you adapt to Ramadan differently? Because everybody does it in their own way.
Yeah, so, you know, Ramadan has a spiritual aspect to it. I don't think anybody can explain it. It's just there, and people feel it. Even, you know, people get nicer, and, you know, they're more tolerant,
Absolutely,
you know, more calm, I would say. I'm sure, you know, a lot of people feel it in different ways. As for me, you know, you try, you know, to be your better self, you know, praying more, you know, reading the Quran. Even, you know, little things, you know, like the kind of things that you listen to in the car, in the radio. You know, the things that you discuss with your friends.
Refraining maybe from, let's say, backbiting when somebody tries to squeeze you, when you're in the traffic,
Yeah,
and you're in...
you're just
all those
calm
little
in
things.
Ramadan, you know. You're not in a bad mood, you know. I don't think anybody can be in a bad mood in Ramadan, you know.
Actually, I could be sometimes, but because of a personal issue.
Yeah, so I'm more calm in Ramadan, you know. I wish, you know, I could, you know, go to Mecca to do Umrah, but I don't think it's
Well, I just
possible.
was there last Thursday. Actually, it is quite crowded. Yes.
Yeah, that's
A
what I heard,
challenging
you know.
experience.
Yes,
My
I mean,
brother-in-law went
we talk about the first 10 days of, I was there in the 9th, which was Thursday night. It was quite crowded, but it's bearable. It's not that bad.
Yeah, I think it's going to get more crowded as we
You
approach
bet
the
it
end
will.
of it. So
You bet it will.
I don't
the
know.
weather
Maybe I'll
might-
do it.
Maybe the weather might ease up down a
Not
bit.
in Mecca, though.
I don't
No?
think so. No,
Ah.
No, because the
Yeah.
temperatures are quite high at the moment.
I don't think that
Actually,
will keep people
actually
from
this
stopping.
coming Tuesday, we are expecting
The
you know,
heat
some, as you said, some ease off on the weather, but
Okay.
we're not sure.
Interesting.
It's not going to be tangible at the first week of let's say, starting this Tuesday. Maybe it may in 2 weeks, which is the end of Ramadan, we may feel, you know, the
Better weather.
breeze and no, the breeze and the cool weather.
Nice.
But then it will be a little late.
That's something we hope for, you know. It's
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
hard to
But it wasn't.
fast in the hot
Was it?
weather.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've been when you came from Spain just recently.
Yeah.
How long ago?
A month ago, month and a half.
A month ago.
Yeah.
How are you? I mean, handling? I mean, we had such actually an extraordinary weather this year. I mean, we had such
I mean, heat-wise.
Yeah, exactly. How did you handle it?
I mean, I'm used to it. I can't, you know, I can't go to a different country for a couple of months and then
So you didn't
I
have
cannot live in Saudi. No, I lived here all my life.
You didn't
so I'm
have a
used to it.
sunburn or anything.
No.
So used to the temperatures.
Yeah.
But Mr. Esam, originally you were telling us that you're from the Qasim region.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your memories as a child, maybe Ramadan with the family as a child. I mean, what are some of the traditions or some of the social aspects that you recall from living in Qasim as a child? I'm sure it's not that long ago.
Well, I'm originally from Qasim, but I lived all my life in Riyadh. We come and visit.
That's what
So
I
maybe your childhood
Yeah.
memories in Ramadan here in Riyadh.
Yeah. So.
How is it changing, do you feel? I mean, everything's changing, everything's becoming, let's say, more cosmopolitan. How do you feel that
I don't want to
things are
sound like cliche, but you know, back in the day, it was I think it was a kind of simpler life than it is right now. You know, as a kid, you know, you like Ramadan because basically you get to stay up later than usual, so you get to enjoy it, you know, and you get, you know, to play with your friends until it's 2 a.m. in the morning without, you know, making your parents mad. So we liked that as kids, and also when you grow a little bit older, you know, like 9, 10, you start like fasting, even though you don't have to, but you want to do it because you see everybody is doing it and you want to experience Ramadan like they do. And you know, in the middle of the day, you get hungry and you try to sneak in the fridge and, you know, eat something and pretend that you didn't eat it. So, you know, I couldn't think of any memory back, you know, when
except for
childhood.
sneaking into the fridge.
Yeah, all the memories from Ramadan are happy memories. You know, I think everybody could say that, you know, in their childhoods, you know, it's I would say it's a magical time.
Absolutely. Everybody's more stress-free, Khalid, and I mean, you're not concerned so much with worldly things as we are as you get older. The stress tends to build up.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you, Mr. Esam, as of we have an expansion in the higher education in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with many universities and private sector, actually, private universities, which is a new phenomenon to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Your thought as of, I mean, you will be very soon, inshallah, hopefully, a faculty member. You thought of this expansion and how the kingdom going to benefit from people like you, especially we have a very ambitious scholarship program, King Abdullah Scholarship Program, that have been disseminating students across the globe.
Yeah. First of all, I'm very happy to see this happen in my country, and I think it's a much needed change. It's quite unbelievable how this happened in such a short time, because we went from, I guess it was 7 universities less than 5 years ago up to 30 universities right now. So this is a huge change. And we're just talking about, you know, public universities, and you have these private universities. King Abdullah Scholarship Program is one ambitious move that, you know, the government had decided, which is amazing because we have a lot of students going abroad, studying first of all, and also getting exposed to different cultures, and hopefully bringing the best out of these cultures back home and then finish their school. So I think part of this is due to the nature of Saudi, because, you know, a lot of the population in Saudi Arabia is a younger population. So 10 years ago, maybe 7 universities were enough for the people, for the young people to join. But right now we have a lot of people graduating from high school, and a lot of them wanted to continue their higher education into the university. So you had to do this expansion. I think it's a wise movement from the government to do that, to do the expansion either locally or sending the people abroad. I think that the people are we are shifting to the mentality of what they call the الاقتصاد المعرفي,
knowledge-based economy.
Knowledge-based technology. Economy. So I think Saudi Arabia in the next 10 years will be a lot different than it is right now. We'll see a lot of more educated people, a lot of inventions. I'm happy, I'm part of King Saud University, and I'm very proud, to see all the changes that happened there. Like the Saudi car Ghazal, which is a project of several students, even though it had some contribution from other parties outside King Saud University. Still, very proud to see such a product.
Very interesting. I think our director Badr Al-Anizi will take us in a report. Badr, is the report ready? Okay, we will come back again to the report. I didn't think it's ready yet. But Mr. Esam, tell us a little bit as of your cultural experience when you lived in US, then you came to Europe. Always this comparison is very interesting. I've been hearing many different opinions about it. I will reserve them to myself, but I want to hear from you.
Well, let me just sum it up in one word. There's no place like home, as they say. I'm very happy, I'm very blessed to be able to visit, different countries, different cultures. Living in the States, and especially in the city of Los Angeles, which has a lot of diversity, a lot of different cultures, a lot of little communities within the city. I think that has changed me, changed the way I look at things. I believe that any person who gets to experience such an experience with the solid background of who you are, where you come from, should benefit from this experience. I loved the experience. I don't think I could be the person I am right now without having this experience, because it has shaped me, it has widened my perspective in so many ways. And I'm very glad that I get to do this.
Very interesting. Now, tell us in particular, I mean, you lived in Valencia in Spain.
Yes.
Which part of Spain?
That's Valencia is a city on the east coast of Spain. It's a beach city, so it's right on the water, Mediterranean Sea. It's the third largest city in Spain. Not quite as populated as Riyadh. Riyadh is more crowded than the city. The city itself is known for its universities. So it has, I think, 4 of the major universities in Spain in that city. One of them is the university I'm studying at, University of Polytechnic of Valencia, which is a very advanced university. The people there are very friendly. Other than the language, I would say they are very similar to our culture.
Absolutely, very warm and very hospitable.
Yes. There are several things, that maybe I don't like about the city, about the culture, which is kind of like a unneeded openness in their traditions, some aspects of it. But overall, I think the city is a very nice city. I didn't have any problem, communicating with the people, even with the language barrier and everything. People try, to understand you,
Absolutely.
try to help you.
I think English is a second language there, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, most people do speak English, don't they?
Not as many as you would think, no.
Really?
No, yeah. Even in supermarkets, even in the big chains of supermarkets, you'd be surprised, if you try to speak English, they wouldn't, understand.
In Germany, they do. I mean,
Yeah,
quite.
absolutely.
I mean, good number of Germans speak English.
In Madrid,
At
Madrid,
least
the
from
capital, they speak
the people
more
I
English
met.
than, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, just quickly, I mean, we are talking about Ramadan, and we can't help avoid that food is part of Ramadan. What about Spanish food? Because Spanish food is very tasty.
Yes.
How did you find that?
I loved it.
Not cooking, of course, just purchasing Spanish food.
Yeah, so no, actually the food there is really nice. They had a dish there called paella, which is similar to our kabsa.
Well, actually, there have been actually talk about the name derived from the word in Arabic al-baqiya, which is the rest of the food, the left food.
Leftovers,
and they
yeah.
mix seafood with chorizo and all sorts
If you look at the
It's
plate,
mixed.
it looks like somebody has got the leftovers from so many dishes and they just put them together because you have
Absolutely.
rice, you have the meat, you have, you know, some vegetables and
Very
stuff like
tasty.
that.
Everything.
Very tasty, yeah.
Absolutely.
And very fattening
Absolutely.
too.
Very fattening too, but I mean, we won't overindulge into it if we do have it. Just small quantities, I guess.
I'm sorry?
We won't overdo it if we have it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
We won't, Mr. Esam Alwagait, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Actually, he's staying with us. We're going just for a report.
Okay, Mr. Esam will stay with us. We're going to go on a quick report and we'll be back to talk more with our special guest joining us here in the studio. I believe we're going to go to Paris and see how people in Paris are spending the holy month of Ramadan. Stay tuned.
For the majority of Muslims around the world, the holy month of Ramadan is an opportunity to cleanse body and soul from the ills and earthly needs of life by abstaining from food and drink from sunrise to sunset. But day-long fasting triggers appetite for savory dishes and drinks, and many households spend considerable time preparing elaborate dishes for the 2 meals that punctuate the holy month diet. In France, where 6 million Muslims from various ethnic and cultural backgrounds live, work and fast, the iftar and sahur tables reflect the world's oldest and most varied dishes.
We have
the whole year to eat. Ramadan is month we cannot miss because it's about spirituality, prayers and fast. Of course at night we eat, but my Ramadan cuisine is healthier than the rest of the year. I make soup, burek or brick, and tajin or couscous.
Keeping up with a millennial tradition attributed to the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, peace be upon him, Muslims in France break the fast with a quick fix of energy, which consists of dates and milk right before they carry the Maghreb prayers.
We bring these dates from Algeria. There is growing public demand for dates during Ramadan. We have sold record quantities last year.
Ideal Ramadan dishes are based on easily digestible food. Hence, stews and salads are customary for the breaking of the fast. The predominantly North African Muslim community in France favor grabbing a bowl of soup for a start. Also called shorba or harira, the warming soup, often made up of ground lentils or chickpeas, relaxes the stomach after a long day of fast and contains enough fibers for digestion.
When you say shorba in Tunisia, it's always followed by brick, the deep-fried pastry. It's a typical dish of Ramadan. Without shorba, I cannot eat any solid food, so it's right appetizer for the fasting belly.
Moi, je les prépare avec le thon. Donc, je mets du thon, des œufs durs.
In North Africa, the brick is an essential dish. Its crusty texture is exquisite. I prepare it by stuffing the thin duff with tuna or ground beef and eggs, and I add some grated cheese to give it a French touch.
The main course for French Muslims comprises poultry or meat. The traditional North African couscous or tagine are a must on the iftar table.
What you see here is popular dish from Algeria. We call it mahjouba. It means hidden in Arabic and refers to the sauce and onion paste that is hidden between the 2 layers of duff that we bake and serve as appetizer or to accompany many dishes. Mahjouba is easy to make because it requires simple ingredients and little labor. You need flour, oil, eggs, and tomato sauce and onion paste. All you need to do is mix the flour with water and an egg until you get a dough similar to the one you use for pizza. Then you can choose your stuffing and bake the mahjouba on the traditional hemispherical oven.
French Muslim cuisine contains one ingredient which is popular among the old and the young, but which can prove pretty fiery for the novice palate. It's the harissa, an extremely hot and spicy paste seasoning made from chili, which is reputed to boost the appetite.
Tonight I break my fast on the traditional mahjouba and harira, but I like them with a lot of harissa. At home they use harissa a lot in food. It tickles the tongue and boosts my appetite. It's so hot and spicy I get tears in my eyes. And frankly, you cannot beat the sensation. So my advice for all those people fasting, put some spices in your mouth, you won't regret it.
For dessert, more Muslims in France favor healthy fruit and mint tea, but many others indulge in sweet treats based on almond paste, dates, and nuts, which carry names like baklawa, gazelle horns, or makroud.
We cannot discourage our customers from buying Ramadan sweets because they are simply delicious honey-based sweets. But like everything in life, they should be eaten with moderation.
Over the years, Ramadan delicatessen have gained popularity even among French people. It is common to see them stand in the long lines of the iftar shopping, hoping to get a piece of the big Muslim cake.
That's yummy. Everyone agrees that Ramadan is not about eating and drinking, it is a spiritual exercise. But the culinary diversity in France is so interesting that people tend to put on their table all the dishes from the Islamic world. And the outcome is an amazing variety of salty and sweet dishes that I hope that you'll have the chance to taste on your next trip to France.
Welcome back. You've been watching your program Ramadan Night, and we're joined by Mr. Esam, a lecturer at King Saud University and a PhD student at Valencia University in Spain. Is it Valencia University?
UPV, it's University of Polytechnic Valencia.
Okay, I'll leave the name for you. Okay, now let me ask you, Mr. Esam, as of the experience that you said you lived there for some time studying there. Let me ask you about the, again, as of how would you do the comparison between universities in US and universities in Spain, the environment of university in particular?
Okay. So, I think the campuses are pretty much the same when it comes to both universities. Each university has its own, I would say, strengths and weaknesses. When I was in the States, I studied in the University of Southern California, which was a very research-oriented school. And you know, you get, when you study there, especially when you study the graduate level, you get exposed to a lot of research projects that actually get translated to real-life products. And you get to work on research that's sponsored by the Ministry of Defense. You know, our research was sponsored by Microsoft. And we did visit the campus of Microsoft so many times. And we were talking to the people who work for Microsoft. So it was a kind of a research that you do, and it translates into something. It's not just pure research. In Spain, I didn't notice that to the same extent as it was in the US. They did have some advantage when it comes to the mechanical engineering, because I see when I walk in the campus of the university, you know, just walk around and see they have a lot of labs, and they have a lot of, you know, manufacturing when it comes to cars or car parts, and there's a lot of research there. So I would guess that's their strength, but I wouldn't know because this is not my field of research. But when it comes to computer science, they do have different fields. I don't want to talk, you know, the computer science language here, but they focus in areas that is related to their language, the Spanish language in general, you know, and try to improve the computer science field when it comes to the, you know, the Spanish language, especially when it comes to natural language processing and stuff like that. But overall, you know, if you know, take somebody, blindfold them, and take them from the campus of this university in Spain and put them in the campus university in the States, other than the language, I don't think they will notice that much difference.
Very interesting. Now let's shift a little bit and ask you, as if you being actually from a Saudi origin, but you do look like Spanish. Have you been mistaken for being Spanish?
Yeah, I got mistaken for that more in Los Angeles than in Spain.
How in Spain? What do they think? You thought you were?
Yeah, they start talking to me in Spanish, And sometimes I nod. When
in Spain, you mean?
In Spain, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And in Los Angeles, because there's Los Angeles is in the south of the states, which is very close to Mexico. So, a lot of Mexican people, they speak Spanish too, and I get confused for a Spanish person. I mean, Hispanic person, let's say, Latino person.
Well,
so
they are very much similar to Arabs in terms of the complexion, the olive skin tone, and so on.
The color of the hair and everything. So
yeah,
I do look a little bit sometimes. So it's good to blend in. It's not so good when you try to buy stuff, to communicate, because they'll start talking to you in Spanish. I wouldn't take it, that you don't
But
speak
you haven't thought about learning, Spanish language.
I did.
It's easy, actually. I know. I speak a few words here and there to just
get by.
Get by.
Yeah,
exactly.
I could get by.
Yeah. But I mean, you live in there. I mean, maybe you should be doing
harder.
more.
It's harder because sometimes learning the language comes out of necessity. My advisor, my thesis is in English. My advisor speaks English. The people that I get exposed to, they speak English.
Absolutely.
So I don't, you get
really
lazy.
You don't really have the passion to actually learn the whole language.
I do sometimes. I mean, like I have a CD that teaches how to speak Spanish. I do practice it. The moment I get on the plane back to Saudi, I forget everything that I learned, and I have to do the same cycle over again, when I go back. So
absolutely. I think to learn a new language, I think it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of, let's say, passion and wanting to actually learn the language, because it's not easy. I mean, you've been speaking something else for all your life, and then learning something else completely new can be difficult.
It's also something about the Spanish language. It's similar in construction to the Arabic language, because, for example, in English you say the adjective and then the name, while in Arabic you say the name and then the adjective. They have that in Spain too. So
same structure.
When I try to speak, I tend to translate it in my mind from Arabic to English, and then from English to Spanish, and that's so much work. I get confused all the time, and I tend, to speak in a very funny way, but I do get what I want at the end. So I can't complain.
Being in Spain, did this was this an advantage for you? Are you a culture person? Do you like to visit museums,
yes,
antique places, archaeological sites?
Yeah. So yes, as I told you before, I believe that I'm very blessed to be able to have such an experience, because Spain in general, they do have a lot of historic sites. They do take care of them. And in each city you'll find something different. And in Valencia, especially, they had the old downtown, which is basically it's literally an old town. Like the old places. They still maintain it. They do have some shops and everything, but the structure of the building is the same as it was, I don't know how many 100 years ago. And then you go inside a place, a restaurant or something like that, and then you go in the bathroom, and the door is like very little, because the building was like that before, and it doesn't bother you. Actually, you enjoy it more. So yeah, when I'm there, I tend to visit a lot of places. I try to learn about the history of different parts, different places, and they have a lot of these in Spain. So
you're adapting to the culture quite well.
Yes.
Very interesting. Let's move back a little bit to Ramadan, because we are in the holy month of Ramadan, and it's strange, but it's true that a lot of media channels actually spend millions, thousands if not millions of pounds or whatever it might be in each currency depending on region, to produce media productions for Ramadan, whether it's drama series and programs and so on. What about you yourself? Are you into the Ramadan shows?
No, if it was up to me, they wouldn't make a penny.
Really?
But yeah, I'm not a TV guy, as I said before, but
are you not drawn into it when your wife or your family, let's say,
yeah, so that's the thing. When my wife watches stuff, and she likes a couple of TV shows, I get to watch it with her. When I'm with people, they talk about this show and this show, I pretty much get the gist of the show. No, actually, I learn from them. It's like watching the TV, but they just give me the, the digest of the whole, show, so I know what it's all about. But if I see the actor, I wouldn't recognize that this actor from this show or whatever.
Okay, let's watch this report about one of the mosques in the Islamic world. We're going to watch actually some of the footages about the mosque. We will be back. Stay with us. You've been watching your program, Ramadan Nights.
Hagia Sophia Mosque is one of the main landmarks of Istanbul, one of the great historical objects of the Byzantine for thousands of years, but later became the mosque. Then a Turk turned it to a museum at the beginning of the 20th century up to now.
Welcome back. You've been watching your program Ramadan Nights, and actually we have a couple of minutes remaining in the program. Then we go into the question of the night. So, Mr. Esam, you've talked about the cultural experience, and actually you're very lucky to live in a country like Spain, where culture actually diverse. And not only that, I mean, you sort of close and relating to the culture there, because there's actually some similarities between the Spanish people and the Middle East and the Mediterranean countries, for example Morocco, Tunis, Tunisia, and other countries. Did that sort of make you feel little home then, as opposed to Los Angeles maybe?
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes simple things make you feel that you belong. When you walk into a building and you see an inscription in Arabic, it somehow strikes something inside of you. I remember seeing inside one of the restaurants. It was a nice restaurant, and they had one of the tiles, and it was in Arabic. It was an ayah, ينصركم الله فلا غالب لكم. And out of curiosity, I asked the guy, and I was like, what is this? What does it mean? Why is it here? I know what it means, but how come it's here in your restaurant?
Is it لا غالب إلا الله or إن ينصركم الله فلا غالب لكم?
I think you got me confused. I think it's لا غالب إلا الله.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So maybe you saw it too. So
I never, but I've heard about it.
He told me that this is kind of one of the old tribes in the history. They had this. It's kind of like their stamp, or this is how they recognize. They mark their stuff with this stamp. I forgot the name of the tribe, but we know it. It's part of our history.
Maybe المرابطون الموحدون.
الحمراء.
Oh, الحمراء.
Yeah. So stuff like that, make you feel that you're not far away from home, even though you're literally not far away from home.
Well, actually, Spain is kind of far compared to other European countries. You have to, what, 6 hours?
6 hours, yeah.
Yeah, that's quite...
It's closer than the States, so...
It is, but I mean, if you compare it to,
Absolutely.
for example, Germany or France, it's shorter, actually.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay.
But let's talk a little bit about your field. I mean, you're a lecturer, computer science. How do you see computer science here in the kingdom in terms of the future, in terms of the interest? I mean, they say if you're not computer literate, then you're illiterate. How do you see this growing, and how do you see the interest of, let's say, more and more youngsters getting into the field of study in computer science?
Well, I think that I didn't have any problems studying in the university in the United States with the kind of education that I got here. I think that people in general in Saudi are very well educated when it comes to computers. I'm not talking about the education in form of research or like the field computer science, but they know computers, they use them, yeah, and they're very comfortable with the technology.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to education too, I think we have a lot of good schools here. We have a lot of talented people. They provide a lot of products, they use the internet. I remember meeting a guy from Google. He was visiting here, and he said that in the Arab world, Saudi Arabia is #1 user of the Google products when it comes to searches and everything. And they are targeted when it comes to the technology firms. They target Saudi Arabia first because of the usage when it comes to computers and everything. So I think we are very educated when it comes to computers. I think we follow the technology very closely.
Okay. Now, this is very interesting, as you mentioned earlier, the knowledge-based economy. In the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, do you think the growing population of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the needs of the job market, I mean, we do obviously have an employment issue and we need to tackle. Do you think, your maybe advice to parents in particular to maybe qualify their kids and to make them more compatible to the job market? Do you think that they should indulge their kids in the computer science at early age where it's easy for them at a later stage in their life?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think this is the future. I think that here in Saudi Arabia we don't have a very good weather for agriculture, for example, to use it as to support the economy. We are blessed with the oil, but I think that the government is shifting towards the knowledge-based economy. I see a very bright future. I see a lot of changes happening in the last few years. We have a lot of research fields. We have the Riyadh Techno Valley in King Saud University, a lot of places like that. So computer science is one of the most sought jobs in the market in Saudi Arabia. So I think it will make a huge difference in the kids' life, if they get educated.
Okay, we almost come to the end of the program. We're going to watch the question of the night, and we will be back. Stay with us. You have been watching your program, Ramadan Nights.
Where is Aya Sofia located? Morocco, Tunisia, or Turkey?
Welcome back to Ramadan Nights. Of course, that was the question of the night. Where is Aya Sofia located? If you know the answer to the question, all you have to do is send us a quick email. It's ramadannights@gmail.com if you know the answer, and you can win with us a prize here on Ramadan Nights every day on behalf of KSA2. And we're coming to the end of the program. Before we go, I'd like to thank our guest for joining us here in the studio, Mr. Esam Alwagait. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We hope you have an amazing Ramadan and a better Eid, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here.
Thank you very much, Khalid. Thank you for joining me this evening and tomorrow as well. We'll be joining you tomorrow.
Okay, I think we need to give him a gift. We forgot the.
Absolutely.
We always forget this part of the program.
Really,
thank you very much,
thank
Mr. Esam, and hopefully we'll have you some other time to after you finish your PhD.
Inshallah.
Don't come without it.
Inshallah. Thank you very much.
As for you watching us at home, we hope you enjoyed this evening's program of Ramadan Nights. Enjoy your suhoor. Don't overindulge because you could feel bad the next day, but we'll see you tomorrow, inshallah, on another night here on Ramadan Nights from KSA2. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.